Okay, so we're gonna talk about three different phylums: Phylum Mollusca, Phylum Nematoda, and Phylum Arthropoda. And especially, we're gonna talk about their digestive system and how their function works. So some of the differences and similarities between these three phylums are, so they all are invertebrates, meaning that they don't have a backbone. And Phylum Nematoda and Phylum Arthropoda have the same ancestor, Actisozoa, and Phylum Mollusca belongs to the ancestral group Lophotrochozoa. They all have complete digestive system, meaning that their digestive tract with two openings. One is the mouth and other is the anus. Phylum Mollusca are columnate, meaning that they have a true body cavity. Phylum Arthropoda are column, meaning that their body is filled with fluid. And Phylum Nematoda are pseudocolumn, which means they have the false body cavity. The habitats of Phylum Mollusca and Arthropoda is terrestrial, meaning that they are land-based and basically every habitat on Earth. Habitat of Nematoda is parasitic. For example, in the article named Structure of the Protective Nematoda mentioned that since roundworms are parasites causing an effect on the production efficiency and thus causing threat to global food security. So we're going to talk about Phylum Mollusca. Their body plan is they are bilateral symmetrical, meaning that their body is divided into two halves, and they all share four main features: an external shell for protection, a thin structure known as mantle which secretes the shell, a visceral mass where all the organs are located, and the muscular foot for locomotion, basically the movement of the shell. So here is number 8, shows the muscular foot for movement. It's the very important part of the shell, and there is a mantle. So a mantle has two different functions. So the first one is to secrete the shell, and the second one is for gas exchange. So here is an external view of freshwater mussel. So here is the umbo. Umbo is the oldest part of the shell, and thus that the other parts grows further. And the shell held together dorsally by hinge ligament, but the shell opens from the ventral side. So overview of the muscle and the digestive system. So number 1 is the muscular foot for locomotion, for movement, and number 2 anterior adductor muscle, and number 6 posterior adductor muscle that helps the shell to keep it closed. So number 3 as stomach. So the food enters from the mouth and thus go to the stomach, and thus move to the digestive system to go back to the anus next to the excurrent siphon. Number 4 is the mantle which secretes the shell, and also the gas exchange happens with the water coming in. Number 5 is the gills. So the gills will exchange the carbon dioxide with oxygen. They also have cilia. Cilia is kind of like a finger-like projection which helps to capture the food, and does that gills push that food into the mouth region into the stomach, and thus go to the digestive system. Nephridium is the way that muscle get rid of the waste, and the labial pulp helps direct the food. So here is the labial pulp that signals the food to go into the mouth by the collection of the gills. Pericardium is the yellow space around the heart. That's called the pericardium. So the next one we have is the Phylum Nematoda. Roundworms is a common type. So their body plan is they are bilateral symmetrical, and their pseudocolumn is their cavity. They have the false body cavity. They belong to Actisozoan ancestral group. So the close-up of mouth and anus. And they are also known as complete digestive system. So here is an overview of the female cross-section of roundworms. So we have pseudocolumn is the space between the body, which is known as a false body cavity. Oviducts where eggs proceeds, and ovaries where the eggs ovum contains. Longitudinal muscles are they do not have any circulatory system, so any gas exchange happens in that pseudocolumn. Basically, the pseudocolumn is filled with the fluid, and any gas exchange or any food absorption or nutrients occurs in here. And the last one is cuticle is the um, layer which protects the body from parasites, for example, like digestive enzymes or any acid enzymes. So basically these are all the parts that have. So the cuticle is the outer layer which protects from parasites, and the longitudinal muscle layers are the muscles that they don't have any circulatory system. So basically yeah. And the ovaries where eggs are kept, and the oviducts where eggs proceeds, and the uterus is the fertilized eggs where fertilized eggs developed. Intestine, here is the intestine, and inside there is a lumen. Lumen is like where the food moves through. That's how the food process here. And the last one at least is the phylum Arthropoda, crayfish. Their body plan, they're also bilateral symmetrical. So, and their regions are head right here, and the cephalothorax and their abdomen. So the way their digestive system works is that so first we're gonna talk about a little bit about their parts. So the first one is the gills. Gills are used for respirations. They're like feathers, and that's how they do their respiration. And then there's a heart, their little section here, and then it is the open circulatory system, and the intestine is right here by number 2. And they also have digestive glands. Digestive glands help to secrete the enzymes and acids into stomach to help the food breakage, and thus ground up in the gastric mill. So number 5 is the stomach. So here is the gastric mill. Gastric mill is like made of like teats, like these are the teats, help grinding the food, and thus here any absorption of the food helps and with the digestion. Overview. The phylum Nematoda and phylum Arthropoda share most of the similarities, such as they belong to the same ancestral group called the Actisozoa. They all contain same type of body symmetry. They all have complete digestive system, and they all are invertebrate animals. So that's it. Thank you so much for listening.